What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bitchuation Room podcast live stream. We've made it to Sunday, just disrupting your family time, because what is family? We can't see them. Yeah, here we are, 5 days out from Xmas or Christmas or Christ Menos, as we have coined before on this show. I've got way too much holiday cheer in my house. I don't know about you. I'm just trying to, fight the sadness, bro. Just fight that sadness. Thank you all for being here on YouTube and on Twitch. And in the future, if you're in the future listening as a podcast, do we make it? Number one, I always ask you that. Second, can you rate this podcast and give it 5 stars? That'd be really tight. I read all of your reviews. They're super, super sweet. And thank you so much for those super chats. David Hernandez, you're so funny. Love you. Likewise. I mean, I assume you are funny, but you're definitely lovable because you're here. And we've got such a good show for you today. Journalist Shane Bauer is here. We're going to talk all about that just like super light topic of Syria. I know some of you want to just like get your sort of like your tee-hees and your hoo-hoos out. They're the hoo-hoos, right? Anyway, we're talking about Syria. He's working on a new book, and we're also going to talk about Black Lives Matter demonstrators and police violence in small towns. He's got a new article out in the New Yorker about Vallejo, California. Also, comedian Anna Valenzuela is here. So excited to have her on the pod. First time. And thank you all again for being here. Remember to share the stream, like it, press the buttons, all the little bells, all the little whistles, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a beat. We have a Twitter account at Bitchuation Pod. So we'll like send out clips and announcements. So follow us on Twitter, Also, maybe I should just dedicate it to like little kittens in scarves and like lizards with top hats. If I just did that with the Twitter account, I feel like that would be more of a contribution to the online discourse than what is happening right now. A little bit of a foreshadowing of where we're going. But anyway, this show is, of course, free because #content. And that means you can donate, tip us, TBR-live on Venmo, TBR live on Cash App. Thank you so much for your tips. If you donate and tip us $20 or more, you get a shout out. So thanks to Sarah W, David P, Juan V, Vern V, and Lexi D. Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone. And a portion of your tips this week, we're still focused on Georgia. Just get the Psycho Barbie, married to the stock exchange, Kelly Loeffler, out of the Senate. Just get her out. All right. As well as David, I can't even show up for my own debate, Purdue. And we are doing that by donating to Mi Gente, which is a Latinx organization that mobilizes immigrant organizations and communities. And Georgia, of course, has a huge Latino community. And they're working and knocking doors there, getting out the vote. And so we're going to donate a portion to Mi Gente. So please, TBR live on Cash App, TBR-live on Venmo. And thank you in advance. And let's just get into this week. What am I? What could I possibly be angry about this week? Oh my God. If you were lucky enough to not care about Twitter, not have a Twitter handle, not know who Jimmy Dore is, bless your heart. You might just want to go make a sandwich right now. You might just want to go take a nap for 5 minutes. You might just want to do anything else. Because it's probably more productive. And I honestly don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to. Because it has a little bit to do with me and a little bit to do with my guest who I have on. But broadly, what I am bitching about is what to me is a pretty bald-faced, bad faith attempt to divide the left at a time when we need to be coming together around fighting for the American people, when we need to be coming together to work with the progressive squad members that we've successfully gotten elected. No. Now is a time for purity politics. Now is a time, apparently, to antagonize our progressive allies in Congress. all over a floor vote over Medicare for all. So this is the discussion, right? Should the squad, specifically AOC, try to withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi as speaker and then force a vote for Medicare for all on the House floor, which will definitely fail. So there's just that. On this debate, I definitely stand in the no camp on that, but not strongly. Like, I think a vote on Medicare for all on the House floor could be one of the many tools used to try and push for Medicare for all broadly, even though it will fail. The reason I lean no is because no major organization that is for and has worked on Medicare for all these many, many years has come out in favor of this strategy. Not the nurses union, Physicians for Universal Health Care. And I look to them. I look to people who've actually put their bodies on the front line, who've done real work when it comes to moving the needle on this discussion, i.e. not YouTube. Sorry. There's some really good thoughts and writers and tweet threads about this. A.D. Barkin, who, obviously has been on the forefront of the Medicare for All movement. He is dying of ALS. He believes we need to do deep organizing and build district to district support, not necessarily top down. Work that we haven't done yet. Dave Sirota wrote a great piece in the Jacobin, basically outlining, hey, we changed the head of the Ways and Means Committee, like lots of other wonky ways that we can build support for Medicare for all. But the real thing to me, and I know not everyone agrees with this, but this is what I'm going to say. The real thing to me is where this entire discussion came from. It matters. It matters because 2 weeks ago, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez engaged in an online discussion brought up by an LA Charger, Justin Jackson, that basically was an ultimatum issued by the YouTube internet celebrity and headliner of Flappers Comedy Club, and pretty much only Flappers, Jimmy Dore. And the ultimatum was, you better bring this or else you're not a real progressive, right? And that is it. And when I saw this 2 weeks ago, I was like, I know exactly where this ends. I know exactly what is happening. And the reason that I know exactly how this ends and what is going to happen is because I've been in the crosshairs of Jimmy Dore and Jimmy Dore's trolls before. And part of the reason that I was actually because he called a friend of mine and journalist who we're going to have on the show very, very, very shortly, a CIA operative. An independent journalist in Syria calling him a CIA operative. You know how dangerous that is? CIA operative / ISIS / whatever the hell else he invented. And because I asked him to not call my friend, an independent journalist, a CIA operative, he then went off on me, calling me a piece of shit, a coward, to come on his fucking show. He just negged me. I think this is how he does things with women. He just negs them. Like, he probably just with his wife was like, oh, come on. Oh, you're too ugly to find someone else. Like that. Like, that's the energy. Or maybe it was, come on my show, babe. And then like marriage proposal. Serious though. This is like the level of vitriol that he lobbed at me. You could see that on my Twitter feed, etc. So I knew, oh shit, this is a guy, not only because it's not about me. I don't give a shit. It was funny, actually. It was hilarious how crazy he got. This is the guy who goes on Tucker Carlson's show, just giving a total hat tip to the right wing. He's denied Assad gas attacks in Syria. He's spread conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton having pneumonia. He's burned bridges with so many people. And to the point where the woman who wrote the apology to me, get this, the apology to me that Jimmy was forced to issue when he went after me and Shane, I know that person, and he no longer talk. He didn't even write it himself. Somebody else did. Also, BT Dubs, he was on a vacation to Venice when he was berating me. And that's why he called me a page chill instead of a paid shill. A page chill. And I could just imagine him with like a plate of spaghetti on like a gondola being like, you are a page chill, come on my show, like, like it's just fun. It's just fun. So it made sense then that 2 weeks later, after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez actually engaged in this tweet from Justin Jackson about whether or not to bring a Medicare for All vote to the floor and whether or not that was a good idea, that Jimmy then went on his show and straight up made fun of her and called her stupid, quote, stupid for engaging and taking the bait, and then called on his followers to, quote, haunt her. That she was so stupid that she actually took his bait, which he totally issued as bait, and then called her evil and called her standing against Medicare for All. That's right. This is someone who has been fighting to get us stimulus money. This is someone who goes out and actually is standing in lines to help feed people in her district with a mask on that says Medicare for All on. Yeah, no, that's all a ruse. That's all. She's evil, clearly. And that's how I knew it would end. I knew it would end with him saying, ha ha, you took the bait, fuck you. Because actually, this isn't about Medicare for All. This isn't about him caring that people are losing their health care. This isn't about truly trying to be strategic and get a vote, get this piece of legislation passed. This is an effort to bait people. This is an effort to give him more clicks. This is an effort to make money, baby. And why? Because, and this is the last thing, I know I got to move on, because he's not accountable. And every one of us should be asking ourselves, whenever we listen to anyone speak about any topic, who are they accountable to? Do they have a workplace? Do they have a community organization? Do they have a deadline? Do they have an AA group? Do they have a dance company? Like, who gets in trouble if you mess up? Whose life is on the line if you fuck it up? Who gets hurt? Who holds you accountable? Who tells you when you're out of line? Who holds you? Who holds you accountable? Because let me tell you this, if you rock up to a Medicare for All meeting spouting the kind of vitriol that Jimmy Dore spouts, they will throw you the fuck out. And not because they're weak libs, but because that's not how progressives treat one another. Because that's not how you get things done. Because that's not how you build coalitions. That's not simply how you win. And many people will tell you that. Anyone who's successfully done anything will tell you that, right? Look at our history of social movements. You don't win by going nuclear on people and baiting them to come on your show. It's not, MLK was just like, you better come on my show, you evil weakling. I don't know. Was that his strategy? No, I think it was building mass movements. I think it was knocking doors. I think it was doing the shit that AOC's been doing her entire career. Mind you, 2 years she's been in office, 2 years, and we're all already ascribing her, she's evil. She's despised by Democrats in the House. Despised. She won't even get a committee appointment. And yet she's the enemy? I don't think so. So I knew it would end like this, and I'm fucking done with it. I'm sick of it. And I want to say that most of the online left is not actually accountable to real people struggling. There are some people who are, there are some people who are not. This is why I have activists and organizers and journalists on this show to hold us all accountable, to tell us what's going on in the streets, to tell us what's happening behind closed doors, to tell us about the meetings, to help us figure out where we can pressure folks, right? You can't be accountable. And I know some of you guys think, well, if you're accountable to your audiences, because you wouldn't get a following, right? You wouldn't get a following if you were so terrible. You wouldn't get no. You get more of a following when you're terrible. You don't get held accountable by an audience because we're selling the audience. I got 11,000 followers, baby. I don't got clout. I don't need this, and I don't want to need this. But if it were my only income, and if I were a bad faith actor, fuck, man, I'd take money from anybody, I guess. But that's not how I roll. So anyway, I just want to separate that and say it matters who you're accountable to. It matters whose lives are on the line when you spout bullshit. Lastly, I'm just going to end with this tweet, and I'm sorry this has gone on long, but former national organizer for Bernie Sanders, Claire Sandberg, tweeted something that I thought was really astute, which she says, what's most depressing about this protracted meltdown is that it reveals a broad assumption among many online leftists that individual politicians could save us if they only tried hard enough, and that Twitter bullying is organizing. And it's not, guys. organizing is organizing. And it's our job to lift those folks up and to listen to them. And that's not who's behind this current call right now. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but it matters where it comes from. All right. And with that, you guys, man, oh man, oh man. I hope it's all fine. It's all going to be okay. I just have to get that off my chest and I feel better. I feel good. By the way, did I tell you this was a comedy show? And we have another comedian on this show. You've seen her on Comedy Central's Roast Battle. You can hear her each week on her podcast, 12 Questions, and she co-hosts Dave Yates she and co-host Dave Yates ask interesting people 12 questions about their journeys through life. Please welcome comedian Anna Valenzuela.
Hi.
What's going on?
Oh, girl. Just surviving. I'm at a friend's house who's going through chemotherapy because our healthcare system is a nightmare, and it's just nice to have somebody around. So yeah, I'm just doing that, enjoying the holiday.
Yeah, getting all the cheer you can.
Yes.
My God, and I want to bring in also, because I name dropped him. He's a journalist and author known for his undercover reporting for Mother Jones magazine. You can read his book American Prison, which was listed as one of the New York Times' 10 best books of 2018. He's won many awards, including the Harvard Goldsmith Prize for Investigative Reporting and the National Magazine Award for Best Reporting. And he recently beat my show News Broke out for a Webby, for which I will never forgive him. Please welcome Shane Bauer.
I didn't know that.
You knew. No, you know what? Though it's so sad because you guys ever DM the people who follow you who you're like, could you boost this?
Yeah.
Like, right. And how many? You only have a few. Like, you can only send that DM out like once a year to be like, could you boost this? For that Webby, I was like, anybody. I was like, please vote for me. And I knew that if I lost to Shane, it would be the only noble loss.
I'm glad you're taking it well. Would you like me to roast him?
Please.
Robbing you? Okay. You definitely look like if Mr. Potato Head did IT.
Oh, God.
I love this. One guest roasts the other. My God, Shane. First you took it from Jimmy Dore, now Anna Valenzuela. Shit.
Yeah. I think I'm better with the roast on Twitter than live with a comedian.
I actually, you know what's so funny? I was thinking, what does Jimmy Dore call his fans? Like Jimmy Dorks? Or like, what are they? Can we call them Jimmy Dorks? Can we call them
doorknobs? Like dumb as a doorknob?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. It's very sad. But anywho, that was what I was bitching about. But we always start this show off with a brief little, what are you bitching about? So Anna, what are you bitching about now?
Okay. Wow. All right. I had a serious one, but this is a serious show. Long-time listener, first-time Potter. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do something really silly. I grew up in the state of California in a town that I was the diversity. No one taught me Spanish. My parents whitewashed me for my own protection. And I've been learning Spanish. One of the greatest sources I've been learning Spanish from has been TikTok, because I get fun slang. And I just learned about a new word and I feel robbed. It's called largate, which is not just get out, but get out, fall down the stairs, enter a crevice, and then fall into the gates of hell. And I am obsessed. I want to yell it all the time. I watch the news. I'll be listening to NPR in the morning. Mitch McConnell will come on. I'll be like, Lagate! Like, it's just,
oh my God.
So that is, why do we think that not teaching children their language and their culture is going to protect them from racism and capitalism? Why do we think that? It's not, guys. It's not.
My mom never taught me Chinese at all. No Mandarin. Didn't get Italian from my dad. Pero hablo español ahora. But yeah, it's like, yeah, because English is the language of money. And that means like in 10 years, everyone's just going to speak Mandarin. So
yeah, I'll learn Mandarin. You teach me Spanish. I'll teach you Mandarin, and then we'll figure it out.
Sounds good. Largate. I love it. That's how I feel about a lot of the online left. Largate.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Calm down, everybody. You're right. It is organizing. I just, not to brag, just signed up as a member of the DSLA. Hello, community.
Oh, nice.
And you know what? The thing about organizing, and I love what you said about accountability. The thing about organizing is it's not fighting with people on Twitter. And I'm in a 12-step community, and I got in a real rip-roaring fight with somebody. And they said, Anna, by putting them on blast, they could lose their jobs. And that's my accountability. Is somebody pulled me aside and said, is this a spiritual thing to do? Is this going to make you happy? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? So I hope that there's people out there doing that for other comedians. Because,
comedian leftists, we need 12-step, honestly, like just for Twitter, for like letting go.
Yeah. Just let it go. It's crazy. Yeah.
Shane Bauer, what are you bitching about?
Well, today in particular, I was bitching this morning about how much my head hurt after that E40 Too Short versus last night. I'm sure some viewers know what I'm talking about. It was nuts, but it was good because I think I've been really tired of the internet, and I've kind of just been off it. But I felt like the internet did a good thing at the end of the year, at least for Oakland, by putting E40 and Too Short live on Instagram. It was just like the whole city was just going nuts in their living room.
Could you hear it out the window as well?
I don't know. I didn't. I mean, I had it blasting in my house. So, but I saw people like around town were just like getting pumped. There's a lot of E40 and Too Short playing around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But I think in the the more serious thing I've been bitching about is this stimulus plan. It's just it's infuriating. $600. It's just like, we could have, this country, COVID obviously is so bad here. We could have taken all this money that we dumped into banks and just like paid people to stay home, and things would be a lot better. But obviously that was not on the table.
What an idea. What an idea. What a common sense solution to a horrible problem. But you know what? You got your $600. So you know what you can do? You can buy one brake. You can't buy a set of brakes. You can buy one brake. So
you can, and like half a windshield wiper.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, it's crazy because like, I think my grovel brain is like, well, it's better than nothing. And I'm like, what? Oh, it's awful. And if it's a one-time payment, like Republicans are going to be like, you got that one breadcrumb a few months ago. What are you talking about? If there's any more, like, oh, didn't that tie you over? Well, you shouldn't have eaten it so fast. You gotta, break the breadcrumb into smaller breadcrumbs. That's what Jesus did, didn't he?
Yeah, I think they're just afraid of people gaining any sort of economic traction. How can they keep us divided? How can they keep us spending money on things to make us feel better if we have some sense of stability?
That's so true. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, the way that corporations are going to use this as a reason for like not being able to give us, paid sick leave, or the fact that they're broke, like, shut the fuck up. They're not broke. They've been making massive profits in this time. But yeah, it looks like it's going to almost be a done deal. So we'll see. We'll have to be somehow happy for it. But we deserve way more. It's almost like they want revolution. That's what I wanted to say. It's like they want us to like make guillotines.
I think so. And just remember, guys, a sword is a guillotine you can take wherever you want. That one guy decapitated his landlord with a sword. And I'm just saying that swords are just mobile guillotines. Just grab one and start making some changes in the world.
We are going to be talking about ISIS a little bit later in the program. That's dark. All right. Well, let's get into this week. Looking back, what happened this week? What do you need to know? We're making fun of it all. This is the week where. Okay. This was the week where Pfizer rolled out its COVID-19 vaccine, and so did a very clear pecking order, with nurses and healthcare workers being among the first to receive it, and next, extremists and war criminals like Mitch McConnell, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, Prime Minister of Israel Bibi Netanyahu, and Rupert Murdoch.
No.
And now I think I'm an anti-vaxxer, you guys. I think, or like maybe I just hope there's some side effect to the vaccine, you know, like some secret ingredient, like it leads to things like basic human empathy or death. Like I'm fine with also death, maybe. Meanwhile, if you guys didn't hear this, wealthy patients are reportedly trying to bribe hospitals and doctors to get the vaccine. Concierge doctors who work in boutique practices, which I didn't even know was a thing that I hate, have been calling hospitals daily. One administrator in LA said that someone tried to offer him $25,000. This is like healthcare Coachella for the ultra wealthy. It's COVID-chella. Have I mentioned I'm for Medicare for all? What the fuck? Oh my God. Let's work to make it happen. Meanwhile, I haven't been to the doctor all year, and probably when I eventually do get a pap smear, the results will just be vodka. Like
oh my God.
A lot of pH in that.
Is this uterus a bag of wine? Oh my Lord.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's so conflicting. How did you guys feel when you saw all these heinous people getting the vaccine and their pale ass arms?
Well, I for me, I knew this. I mean, I'm not shocked. I'm really not shocked because, you know, we knew that resources in this country go to the wealthy first, you know, and if they're not supposed to, they'll figure out a way to do so, you know, and maybe this is my generous assumption that some of these dickbags will get it and they'll stop pushing the propaganda that getting it will make an arm grow out of your head or cause all sorts of problems.
Yes.
Yeah, I cannot believe how many people in my world are questioning getting the vaccine. Just get it. The mRNA research for vaccines has been out for 20 years. And so they just rushed this, but it's most likely not going to have a ton of side effects. And you know what? Corona does. So just take the fucking vaccine and give it. I mean, not only should healthcare workers get it first, but the frontline workers who work in grocery stores, who work in drug and alcohol treatment. I have a friend who has COVID from administering COVID tests to patients as a therapist in a drug and alcohol treatment center. It's bananas. So yeah, I just, you know, I mean, I hope all of their teeth fall out and hair grow in its place for taking those vaccines away from actually useful people. But, you know, I had a feeling this was going to happen.
Yeah. Maybe we can send Mitch McConnell and Marco Rubio to like work in Target and we could just do a little swap skis, and the Target workers can help negotiate like an actual, you know, stimulus plan that will help people.
I cannot wait to see Mitch McConnell in one of those bright red shirts, you know, with all of his weird, patchy, half dead skin.
Oh, he's got to be the greeter. Oh, welcome.
Oh, welcome to Target. I don't know where anything is.
You need a basket? Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be hiding out. Shane, what did you make of this? Are you all Congress got it, you know, and like I get that, but also so did a lot of people who've been naysaying the entire coronavirus writ large. The fact that we're focusing on it too much, as Marco Rubio once said. Oh, we lost Shane.
Oh no, Shane!
Shane, we left.
Okay, I'm gonna try to say something really intelligent yet Oaklandy. Okay, that Mexican food in the Bay is not as bad as I think it is. It's just the burritos are better than the tacos. Okay, here's back. Okay.
Wow, shots fired against Mexican food in the Bay. But you might be right. Can you hear us, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I dropped out, but I heard some shit talking about Bay Area Mexican food.
I will fight in the streets.
I do miss
It's
a
really
good taqueria Cancun burrito, though. Oh,
no. The best tacos are in Oakland.
No,
It's true.
tacos are an LA game, baby.
They're an LA game.
LA tacos are good, but not as good as the Oakland ones.
You know what? You're being the
But San
kindest.
Francisco is better on the burritos. I mean, just for the Bay Area, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think San Francisco really has tacos, to be honest.
Probably.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on to our next topic because it's too painful to think about Mitch McConnell getting the COVID vaccine for a little bit too long. And we got to move on. All right. So let's make this quick. This was the week where Mike Pence announced that after receiving many submissions, the name of the members of the U.S. Space Force established under Trump will be called the Guardians.
Of the galaxy?
No. But the director of Guardians of the Galaxy immediately tweeted, "Can we sue this dork?"
See, and that's what Twitter's for. That's really what it's for. What a beautiful moment.
Exactly.
No.
The Guardians. Hello. I honestly don't mind the name The Guardians as much as I mind their slogan, which apparently is heritage, mission, culture. Like heritage and culture. Why does this already feel fashy? You know?
Yeah.
It's like very like Proud Boys in space. Like they're all going to start chanting, "Moons will not replace us." So creepy.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what the Space Force is for. I'm sure someone in the comments will be like, actually, it's really important that, but I don't, is it important? Is it more important than people starving right now on Earth? Anyway, yeah. Do you guys think the Guardians is a good name? We like this?
Shane, you go. I talk a lot.
No, you go.
Oh my God. I mean, I think it needs a rewrite, obviously for copyright infringement purposes. Duh. Also, you're right. It does sound super fashy, which I think is the best. I think that's the STD you get from fucking a Proud Boy is fashy.
I've been all fashy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it does sound gross. And I do hope they shoot all of the Proud Boys into space because that would be very funny to watch their hair, their little pompadours, like flopping around, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we have so much to take care of on this planet. And while space exploration gives people a lot of hope, I love space. I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I love space. Okay. But I think we could pause, deal with our shit, and then start looking over the galactic fence at some other things.
The galactic fence. I love that. Agreed. Agreed. All right. Shane, moving on. Last licks on Guardians.
I agree, fashy.
Okay, we got fashy. I wonder if they're gonna have like shields. Like I want them to have like cool shields.
Oh,
but they're like not
Oh yeah,
going
they
anywhere.
can go back to the what was the like 2017 kind of alt-right look. Remember when they had like the base stick man and those guys with the shields and the crazy helmets and stuff? Maybe that could be their logo.
You know they're gonna have
base
shields.
Stick man. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
all right.
think they should go full Battlefield Earth. You know what I mean? Dreadlocks.
Yeah. Or there's always like a Spartan guy with the helmet, you know, could be one of those dudes.
I love it. This was the week where the mayor of Atlantic City announced that they would be auctioning off the rights to demolish the defunct Trump casino to the highest bidder. They're literally going to 9/11 his casino. And this time, Mr. Trump, New Jersey Muslims will be dancing in the streets. Just in case you want to know. And I'm going to join them. I'm going to be there. It's just crazy. I love this story, but also why do I feel like he's somehow still going to collect the insurance money on this demolition?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What Trump does best is find ways to charge the federal government, state and local governments for his mistakes. And so, yeah, definitely. He's going to get all sorts of kickbacks from this. It's the only way he would let that piece of shit casino get demolished, you know, and I can't wait to see, you know, what weird plastic surgery he buys a child with the money he receives. from demolishing his own failed business.
You mean like a next bride thing? I'm like,
Or
when you
next-
said that, I was like, his next bride, you mean?
Next bride, or like getting Jared Kushner just like that much more Botox so his face just goes dead forever. You know what I mean? Just turns into a block of ice that'll never move. I can't wait for that, you know.
Just cut through things.
Yes. Yes.
If we all pool our stimulus checks for $600, maybe we could win this, though, and win the rights to demolish the Trump casino.
I mean,
It's like more worth it than half a windshield wiper and half a brake.
It's that, you know, they're going to auction off like pieces of the sign, anything with a logo on it. They're going to auction it off for like all those weirdos on Parler, or to people who hate him. Like the guy who kept demolishing his star in Hollywood Walk of Fame, and then he like sold the letters. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's going to happen.
Love it. It's going to be right next to like Britney's locks of hair on eBay and shit like that.
Yeah.
I love those things. Yeah, dude. It's I just don't understand how you can bankrupt a casino. This is like if someone can explain this to me from a financial perspective, how is it possible you bankrupt a casino?
You probably decorate it the way Trump decorates everything. It probably all went into like gaudy budget and bad taco bowls. I don't know.
Oh, definitely bad taco bowl
or something.
Gold toilets, and also they didn't like teach the blackjack guys well enough, or the house just always lost. Did they like skimp on the lessons for like actually playing blackjack? And they were like, I don't know, I give up. I was like, dude, you got to hit up the Trump casino in Atlantic City. You always win.
What makes you think they allowed anything black in that casino? I mean, come on.
Exactly. Blackjack was off the table. Literally, figuratively. One final story for y'all. This was the week where Putin showed us once again he is our daddy, when we learned that Russian hackers have been accessing U.S. government agencies like the Department of Treasury and Commerce for months now. While intelligence agencies and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo have acknowledged Russia's role, Trump, no surprises here, isn't so sure. And that makes sense because he knows it can't technically be hacking if he just sold them the codes to try and get his PP tape back. You know, just like, please, I'll give you Wilbur Ross's password. It's Fabergé _egg 69. Like, it really is Fabergé _egg 69. Wilbur Ross, I see you. I know you and your little droopy ass fucking vampire face. But this is like a huge hack, and I don't know. I'm always like, uh-oh. Well, anyway, moving on. I never know how to react to these hacks because I'm like, well, did we fix it the last time? Nope. All right. Anyway, doopy-doo. Just going to keep going on and giving my credit card to anyone who wants it on the internet.
It's infuriating to me that we're not calling this the Cold War that it is. You know, Agents of Chaos on HBO, which I know is very like leaning a certain way and definitely places blame a lot on like Julian Assange and a lot of that. But it was so infuriating to watch because obviously this is warfare now and we're not treating it that way. And it really should be treated that way because there's no glitz and glamour. There's no show to it. There's no parades. There's no big tanks. There's no tech that you just have to educate people and hold tech companies accountable. And that isn't sexy. That isn't a World War II style war where you can just, jump in and win. I do love that the CIA calls all their organizations Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear. And I think the Iranian organizations are kittens. And I think that is hilarious. I could be wrong, but I am obsessed. Keep it cute,
second,
guys.
I have thoughts on this, but Shane, can you jump in? Because I have to, my computer's going to die and I didn't grab my plug. Hang on.
Yeah, I was just thinking that my, I guess, favorite kind of manifestation of this, Russia-US conflict is if you can go down like a rabbit hole in the internet of road rage clips in Syria between Russians and Americans. It's so bizarre. They're like, trying to push each other off the road, having like standoffs, but never shooting each other, just kind of, being road ragey.
Yeah, you gotta love a nice like Russian road rage clip. Also, how are there so many videos? Is everybody just issued a dash cam there? Is that the thing? Like, we got to keep our economy going through YouTube clicks. I have no idea, but it's
Or like the police in the US, or
Hey.
doesn't hold them any more accountable. But sorry about that. I close call there. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because we have to say two things at once. Like, we don't want the cyber attack, but I don't want a war. Fuck that noise. I don't want another war. And also, like, we shouldn't be doing this. Apparently the US does this all the time as well to other countries. And it's like, no, man, can we get like free internet for everybody before we start doing espionage on other countries as well? So it's just, it's a little bit of I don't know if American politicians understand that you don't necessarily respond to this like cyber war with a hot war or like droning people. And like, I don't know. We'll see where Biden comes down on this. I think a lot of people criticized Obama for not going harder on Russian hacking. But at the same time, he was an outgoing, that's the Democratic way, he's outgoing. He's got to respect the wishes of the incoming Trump administration.
Hope and change. You mean I'll do my best.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's unclear where we want to go with all this. I just know, like, can we just fortify? How about just fortifying, just not allowing ourselves to be so open? Maybe everyone changes their passwords. And we have people who are actually tech savvy, like.
Well, and I love that they are broke in through the government contractors. So they didn't actually break in, like they get in through these independent, business people. And that to me, there's always an argument that, the free market will do better at tech, at infrastructure, at policing, at incarceration. Like, oh yeah, they're going to do better. And they never do. Never do. And yet people believe that. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, we shall see. But that was the week where, you guys, and let's jump into this right before we go into talking to Shane. And I hope, Shane, you can stay a little bit longer than 7:00. I want to go to some comments. Okay. Thanks. JTVJ on YouTube says no one should be hating anyone, so Dor needs to stop that part and just focus on the idea. Agreed. Going to be a difficult sell for him, I think. Thundervoice _1 on Twitch says Senate Democrats who fought against stimulus checks. That's what he's bitching about, or they're bitching about. Thundervoice. Hunter on YouTube, thank you for that super chat. That's so generous of you, saying that I look like Cardi B sometimes without the massively dilated pupils. Ooh. I don't see the resemblance, but like, I will take it any day of the week because stan Cardi very hard. Let's see. And America, this person continues, Hunter, has so many aspects of that make it similar to a third world country without being officially called that. Shaking my head. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely does. We are like the bathrooms in JFK Airport, which we are like America is like the JFK Airport, which is just, there's like Swarovski diamonds and like Louis Vuitton shops. And then the bathrooms are shit. Like the only part that's public has like the locks don't work. It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. No one's getting paid properly. Clearly, that's what America is. It's got a lot of the first world, got a lot of the third world. No Name on Twitch says my 69-year-old mom found out she has COVID this week. I have had to threaten to take her keys if she keeps leaving the house. She believes I'm being brainwashed by bad people because I believe in science and facts. Oh my God, that is so hard, and I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I don't know what to do. It's like, I think there's some great, here's what I think is great. There's some really good animations on YouTube that are actually like, here's how COVID works. And they came out early in spring, and I was watching them like a lot because I was fascinated with how it does work and how it, like, here's your lungs filling with little, COVID viruses. And even just that might be a simple, accessible way to be like, this is real. You need to stay home. you could be at risk. So I hope she recovers, and sorry to hear that. And thank you all for still being here. And also TBR-Live on Venmo, TBR Live on Cash App. Keep this show going. Just support everyone who makes it. Just me and a little scrappy team full of love. And let's get into this week or we already did, but let's get into this Sitch for this week, talking with Shane about Syria, policing, and all the rest. This is the Sitch. Shane Bauer, my good friend. You're going to be my good friend, even though you don't want to. But you're writing a book right now about America's involvement in Syria. And this is a civil war that's been going on since 2011. We're talking 12 million displaced people, refugees, 500,000 deaths or estimated. So we know. What are you covering in this book? What do you feel like it's important to explain, I guess, primarily for an American audience, about America's involvement in this very long civil war?
Well, I'm not necessarily in this book trying to kind of lay out all of the policy. It's more of a deep look at Americans on kind of who fought on different sides of the war. So the military being one of those, but also people who joined ISIS and the YPG, which is a Kurdish group fighting ISIS. And there's just so many insane stories. I've met 50, 60 people who fought there, and there's like ex-military people, there's anarchists and communists, random guys that were just like, I'm working at Walmart and I want to do something meaningful, so I'm going to go fight ISIS. So, I'm following some of these people through their experience, kind of on both sides of the front line, which also had, American aircraft overhead, providing aerial support sometimes to, anarchists and communists. It was a weird world, weird war.
Yeah.
But, I will talk about also how, the CIA's program and the military program a bit. And one of the weird things about American involvement in Syria is that different parts of the government are kind of at odds with each other. Like you had the CIA backing the Free Syrian Army against Assad, and then you had the military essentially trying to fight ISIS and wanted, Assad to stay. So it was, a clusterfuck, basically.
Jesus. How did that strategy, or that lack of a strategy, change when Obama left office and under the last 4 years of Trump?
Well, towards the end of Obama's presidency, there was a turn kind of away from the strategy of trying to topple Assad, or at least back the rebels that were trying to topple him, because of ISIS, and because they're even, the rebels were getting more mixed up in Islamic groups, especially Jabhat al-Nusra, which is Al-Qaeda. So Obama was shifting kind of away from that, and then Trump, officially ended it pretty quickly and focused on ISIS. And the weird thing is that I think when people look back on America's involvement in Syria, it's like we think about the moment that Obama was thinking about bombing Syria, the chemical attacks, and I think the involvement of the Trump administration has gotten a lot less attention. But the level of bombing is just accelerated so tremendously under Trump. And this is all in the counter-ISIS campaign. But there was an entire city, which I've been to many times, Raqqa, which was just flattened. I've never seen anything like this. And it was just completely bombarded from the air. So it was this kind of like war strategy where, Americans were not putting themselves at risk. They had, essentially people on the ground fighting, and they were just bombing from the air. And people, kind of gave the U.S. carte blanche because it was ISIS. Everyone wanted to get rid of ISIS. So it was kind of like, do what you have to do.
And there was never, what was the facilitation, or what has been the humanitarian facilitation of any kind of civilians out of that situation? Like, that wasn't even on the table to negotiate.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. I mean, ISIS was not letting civilians out of these cities also, so people would try to leave and they would get shot, because ISIS knew that, having civilians in the city was easier for them. But they weirdly were kind of banking on the idea that Americans would not bomb civilians,
Man, they gambled wrong there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
People found ways out at different times, before, like, the war would kind of come to each city at a different time. And there were periods where people could leave, but a lot of people didn't, either because they didn't know it was coming or they couldn't, they had no money. It's not easy just to kind of leave your house in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah. I mean, now, it's like, it definitely feels like the consensus, obviously, between Assad and Russia, who is helped on the side of Assad, and now the U.S. have kind of been coalescing, right? And so, and there's so many foreign actors in what is effectively a proxy war and has been a proxy war. But now that we're like in the year 2020, what state is Syria in now, and where do things stand?
So the last time I was in Syria was in February, and even at that time, this has just gotten worse. But the economic situation is really, really bad in Syria. We think about like the bombings and this kind of sort of spectacular battles, which were horrific, but the country is now just really being ground down, and it's also affected, populations that have been pro-Assad, because people have heating gas anymore. So there's been moments of kind of like protests in Alawite cities, and but I think there's somewhat of a stalemate in the country for now. The U.S. and its allies control about a third of the country. Assad is pretty clearly won the rest of the country, aside from the area the U.S. controls, which is the northeast, and then also Idlib, which is the kind of last pocket that's held by the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've been trying to fight to regain that. So that city gets bombed still from the Syrian government and Russia. And then there's the wild card of Turkey, which, Turkey is also always wanting to kind of move in on the Kurds in the northeast, but it's for now the U.S. is there. So, necessarily think that these lines that have been drawn are going to stay this way. It's just hard to know. It really is pretty much completely dependent on these international backers that are kind of, using their proxies on the ground.
Right. I mean,
what I was mentioning earlier with this road rage is you have these situations now where, like, the U.S. and Russia are kind of right next to each other in some places, and literally, like, there will be, Russian convoys driving down the road next to an American convoy, and they'll like be trying to push each other off the road. It's like they won't shoot at each other, but they're like getting in these crazy road rage situations. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, if there's like, I mean, this is the thing, is like the one positive is that there's maybe less ISIS, right? But then how many civilians had to die to accomplish that? But it is like one of the many, 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 many forces. And like, I encourage everyone to read Shane's piece about this for Mother Jones, which also is a video series. And is it behind the front lines or behind
the lines? Yeah.
Behind the lines. Yeah. I mean, one last question on Syria that I wanted to ask you is, it is, you trying to be an independent journalist, being an independent journalist, covering Syria, and knowing just how fractured and frayed the discussion has been. And I think deliberately, we know that Assad and Russia have absolutely won the propaganda war when it comes to disinformation online. That's been won, right? And the fact that people who've worked on this issue closely are at each other's throats, are calling each other, agents of X, Y, and Z, government. And for me, someone who's been politicized by the anti-Iraq and Afghanistan war movements, initially when this whole thing with Syria happened, it was like, well, where do we fit in? How do we support the people? The people who wanted Assad gone, and the people who obviously were rightfully scared, and I think the people who've been sidelined and bombed and made to be refugees. But as an anti-war organizer, you're always like, well, so sovereignty, and how do I support this effort? But you can't do that without being called a regime change imperialist who wants Americans to go in there, et cetera, et cetera. How do you find your way, and what gives you, like, I guess if you want to just explain some of that misinformation and how you navigate that jungle?
Well, I mean, I think the way that I've learned to navigate it is just getting off Twitter because it's really the only place that you see it. A lot of this misinformation stuff really plays out on Twitter, and it's effective because journalists are on Twitter, So, it's not even like there's a version of a story that an example is the chemical attacks. This is an issue that has had a lot of misinformation on the internet, back, from the Syrian government and Russia, just saying that they're fake. And it's not even that, people are seeing the stuff and they're like, oh, it was fake. It's just, they're seeing so many. It's like the waters are muddied, it's just like, oh, I've seen that they're fake. I don't know, who really knows? So it just kind of basically pushes people to kind of just disconnect and give up,
Totally. It's like, well, if you, and also, and it pushes people to say, well, if you're not an expert on it, you can't care about what's going on, which is it's really interesting to me. Like, I was very sucked into those kind of Syria social media, Twitter battles for a long time. And what's interesting to me, like looking back on that, is that it's a really small number of people, that are just really good at trolling and just, pissing people off, pissing off journalists, making them fight with them, being like, hey, come debate me on my show now, Right.
It's just, and this is just a thing that happens on Twitter a lot, as we see, like, there's journalists who basically make their name on Twitter. And the best way to do that is just start picking fights with people like with more followers than you, it's kind of a winning strategy, but who knows, it's going to last. What's going to happen with these people? I mean, they get so marginalized because they just become, at least with Syria, it's like they just sound like kooks that are just completely repeating the Russian line on, an issue. And like, obviously, being opposed to American war efforts, American involvement in other countries should not necessarily push you to being like a Russia apologist. I mean, that's,
right. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I've heard, it's like, yeah, war crimes are war crimes are war crimes, y'all. It doesn't matter who's doing it. We don't support that kind of shit. Like, doesn't matter. I mean, the Syrian Civil War is so complicated, and I've appreciated your reporting on it from being honest about how many actors there are, about the shifting terrain, about the human cost and the lives that have been caught up in it. So it's like, it's such a not black and white war. And I think we forget that. And it doesn't mean we disengage, but it means, like, rather than rushing to like, well, we know exactly how to feel about this.
Yeah. And it's also a war that's not going to be like hashed out on Twitter. It's just way too complicated for that,
If only we could solve it by getting enough faves. All right. Well, I wanted to ask you, you wrote this incredible piece about the Vallejo Police Department, and based on the murder of a young man who was demonstrating and potentially involved in looting, I believe, Sean Monterosa in Vallejo, but was shot 5 times. Tell us what you learned from your reporting about that police department.
Yeah, so Sean Monterosa got killed, in the week of the first week of the George Floyd uprising, he was looting in Vallejo. And I, kind of thought, let me just write about this person. This person was, a looter. Like there's kind of this whole debate about looting, but he got killed, But as I dug into it, I really started to understand more about the Vallejo Police Department and how the city politics had been taken over by the police union. The city went bankrupt in 2008, and because so much of the general fund of the city was going to the police and firefighters, their union had just won crazy contracts. It was like they won like 40% wage increases over like 5 years or something.
Damn. If only teachers could get that. They got like a struggle for like an 11% over 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that was in part due to the increased fires in Northern California and campaigning together for more funds?
I didn't see that come up. And, this was 2008. So it was, I guess fires were going up then, but this was before this kind of like world that we're in now. Yeah.
Perpetual flame.
Yeah. Yeah. But the police also, I found there was a councilwoman who at that time was really pushing to try to like lower their contracts, and part of the reason the city declared bankruptcy was so that they could renegotiate their contracts with the cops. And the police actually went into her house and were like, they were driving by her house all the time. She felt threatened by them. And then a couple cops went into her house and were posting on these like chat rooms about stuff that was in her bedroom. And it was like, the kind of stuff, and they're killing a lot of people. Just a really extraordinary amount of police killings. They're always, they're we in California can actually now, there's new laws that allow us to get the records of their own internal investigations. Mm-hmm. So they wrote these not thinking we would ever see them, but it's just like, obviously no one's ever at fault.
You wrote that since Michael Brown's killing in 2014, homicides in major cities have gone down by like 30%, but these like smaller, Vallejo's a smaller, more suburban town have been rising. Do you have a theory as to why?
I don't know why exactly, but some thoughts I've had on it is that, there have been, reforms made in a lot of major cities as a result of the Black Lives Matter movement and those protests that we saw years ago. And they have had an effect, so police killings have been going down in those places, but in places like Vallejo and small cities, there's not that kind of pressure. There's not as much of a media infrastructure, legal infrastructure, just, activist movement.
Right.
And on top of that, like taking Vallejo as an example, cops from Oakland, when Oakland was forced to go through reforms, through court mandated reforms, cops left and went to Vallejo, and those cops that left, have a super high rate of shootings, so there are cops leaving these places that are being forced to go
being subject to more accountability, and then they go to places that have less.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened with the LAPD after the Rodney King beatings and riots. When they instituted police reforms, they scattered all throughout the Southern California region. And so Long Beach, Montebello, Bellflower, Hawaiian Gardens all got these dirty cops out of LAPD. So they still take care of their own. They just moved. Literally, most of them didn't even have to move. They just stayed there.
Yeah, and cops, that get fired from somewhere can get rehired other places. It happens all the time, especially smaller, towns that have a harder time hiring police. They'll take those guys.
What's crazy? I'm pretty sure if you get fired from a Chipotle, you can't apply at a different Chipotle.
There's more accountability in Chipotle than there is in many police departments.
Yes.
My God, that's so. That's got to be a bit, Anna. I really hope it is. I
Right?
do hope that is a bit. I mean, and just this case, Shane was like, when Sean Monterosa was killed, there was a tape of a police officer, like a dashboard cam or a body cam, where an officer is saying something like, "Don't worry, you'll be fine," to the person who shot him.
Yeah, exactly. And, because that's how it always is. These guys have not just never been prosecuted, but not even punished internally after shooting somebody. And, just to give you a sense of what this police union is like, they, a year or two ago, went into, City Hall and were pushing for a contract change, which was that the contract allowed the city to mandate drug testing for a cop after he shot somebody. The city didn't enforce this, but they were like, we have to get that taken out. And they did, and they go after journalists. So just recently, a great Bay Area reporter, Otis Taylor, he's just left to go to Atlanta. And the police union from Vallejo, which the city he writes about a lot, emailed him and, was basically like, good riddance. We're going to let our guys in Atlanta know about you. It's just like, it's this kind of really kind of sluggish,
so chilling.
Yeah. And it's like the norm there,
I mean, this is the endless debate around police unions. I mean, I think as progressives, it's hard because we want to support unions. But the role of police unions is exactly that. You can't even, like, they're resisting a drug test. They're resisting, and this is what I don't get, is like they resist things that would benefit them, like trauma training or, a counselor, right? Stuff that everyone should be able to go through, especially if your job is as dangerous as being a cop, right? So
yeah, but the idea is like, they don't want anybody who's not a cop, meddling, basically. They don't want to like open that door to let any kind of civilian oversight in.
Right. They want like their buddy, like Bruce, to be like, hey, he seems fine. You cried lately? You cry? Yeah. Why don't you cry right now? Cry for me, you little bitch. And then, that's the therapy. My God. Before I let you go, Marlo Buford on YouTube says, I see why Shane can't even just have a relaxing Sunday night. You have so much on your mind. This is a horrific situation for Americans, but it's nothing like Syria. Thank you, Shane. Agreed. Amen. And thanks so much for joining us. And everyone, please check out his work. Check out his Mother Jones article, which is so in depth, and there are accompanying videos and footage. And your forthcoming book, which is called, what's the name?
There's no name yet. So it's going to be a while. Still writing it.
I will buy it and I will read it as I read it.
No, it's gonna be fascinating, and thanks for being on the show, you guys. Shane was on episode 3 of the Bitchuation Room back in 2018, and we talked all about his time going undercover in a Louisiana prison as he was a correctional officer, working inside of a prison, and then wrote an entire book about that. So he does have another book out if you want to read that. And Anna, we got one more segment. We haven't told the people what it is, though.
Okay, let's tell them.
Well, let's tell them. This is a segment. It's brand new, suggested. Of course, it's brand new because it's the 4th segment, final segment, tradition here in the Bitchuation Room. New segment. It's suggested from our lovely producer, Becca Rufer. This is Pitch Me a Hallmark Holiday Film.
All right. I'll get started.
Okay, first of all, I don't have the Hallmark channel, and I have not seen a Hallmark movie, but I've seen enough. Like, I've seen the sparkly lights, I've seen the blonde hair, I've seen the like very, the parts on all the dudes in the same place, the scarves, the like chunky sweaters, the golden retrievers. Like, I get it, It's about magic.
It's about magic.
And
there's
whiteness.
There's a similar, yes, very white, very so white. Hallmark hashtag so white. So there's a basic structure, which is big city business lady comes home because her father has lupus and is toenails, and he has to she's helping out the family, and she realizes the magic of small town life, but doesn't want to leave her high powered job. But then her former love, who broke her heart, shows up, and suddenly she has a reason to stay, and she stays in her town, and everyone's happily ever after. So it's this constant retelling of living your life small.
Yeah, it sounds very anti-feminist. Like, see, problem is, you went to the big city, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you went to the big
salsa. Sorry, I don't know why I wanted to
get a rope. Oh my god. So, oh man, it was. Can I just say, I did not know Shane wrote that book, and I should pick it up because I grew up in a town that had 2.5 prisons. Yeah,
wow.
A youth authority, level 2 California State Prison, and another one called that was a fire camp. So 2.5 prisons. That's what I call it. It was amazing.
Fire camp.
Yeah, fire camp where they train.
Is that for the pyros? Oh, okay.
Training the inmates to go out and fight fires. Which
shit. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the thing that we've been talking about this entire year of wildfires.
Yes. So my pitch for the Hallmark Hall of Fame movie would be okay. So big city warden comes home to visit their family, and they realize that their father's business is failing. The one of three businesses on the main street of Ione, California, are failing. And what will the town do if the town doesn't have its pharmacy / post office? They'll
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. How will they possibly be able to survive? In fact, it employs the only 10 people that don't work at the prison there. Did I mention there's a lot of prisons? So then he realizes, I'm going to stay and I'm going to try to help my father. She realizes she's going to stay and help her father run the business. But then the warden from the prison that's there stops by one day and says, "We don't like your kind here. You're a big city warden." And then you find out that he once stood her up for prom, and they sit there and they banter back and forth, and they keep running into each other because it's one of 3 businesses. And in order to get a Coca-Cola, you got to go there. And he loves
it's just a conveyor belt, a small town, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. So then he shows up, and they start to have sparks fly, ladies and gentlemen, as she helps her because a large order of stamps had to go out, and she needed or pharmaceutical drugs. I have no idea. Probably Sudafed, so they can make more meth in that town. And so she had to package all the Sudafed, and he was like, you know what? I'll help you out. We'll call it my amends for when I left you at prom. And then they fall in love, and she decides to stay, and they run the prison together. Yay!
Oh my god! I don't know what the. Yeah. There's definitely like a Toby Keith song that kicks in at the end of that. I'm just a prison warden trying to get this holiday card. I got all the cheer. I got all the inmates. They're fighting the fires. I don't know.
And one of the features in it is a real thing that happens in this town where they have a lot of parades for no reason, even though Main Street, I kid you not, is half a block long. Yeah, so they just have a parade like every 6 months, very short parade. And so the Christmas parade, real thing, the Christmas parade's happening, and the big city warden and the small town warden, they're both judges for the floats and for the ugly truck and ugly dog contest, real things that happen in Ione, California. But he convinces the prison marching band, which is always the end of the parade. Yes, that's a real thing. I'm not making this up. It's a real thing. God. The prison marching band to stop and play her favorite song so they can dance.
This is dark. That's some dark, like that. Damn, dude. Mine is way not like I learned a lot about the prison industrial complex and small town living at the same time. And that's educational. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. That's the holiday season. I own California. Okay, my holiday Hallmark pitch to you is imagine a Taylor Swift CD dressed in flannel. That's our main character. Just Taylor Swift CD in a flannel with like a little bit of cleavage, but not tasteless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the CD opens up a holiday petting zoo just for the holidays with like little sheep and bells and like little goats and stuff like that. But it's under threat of closure due to the pandemic and like memes, evil scientists who are like, oh, you need to wear a mask. And they're like, bah, no, you know? So I don't know if I'm getting this right.
Are the sheep like QAnon? Are they?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, sheep are super red pilled, dude.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, not so sure. The CD, not her herself, just the CD, just mostly flannel. It's just like, you know, one of those bodies that move. And so they have to raise funds. And so the CD starts busking on the corner to try to raise money where it meets a hot love interest. Or is he an angel? Like maybe he's an angel from God, but we don't know. But he's played by Nick Lachey, formerly of 98 Degrees. And Nick and the Taylor Swift CD join forces. He's in blue flannel. She's in red flannel, of course. And he joins her in singing, and they raise money to open up 2 petting zoos eventually. And they all live happily ever maskless until, well, they probably get COVID at some point. But
until they die because there's no ventilator in whatever town they live in. Yeah.
That's the thing about the Hallmark towns. There's no ventilators left in them.
No ventilators. There is no ventilator. We used to, I swear to God,
the love story should be like, I see you. I see you.
I think they shoot most of the Hallmark movies, especially the Christmas ones, in one town in Canada, and I cannot remember the name of it. But yeah, they shoot them all like in one place. So that's why they all look the same.
Sound off in the comments if you know. All right, before I let us go, Dirk Dieter, always solid fan. A homie. Solid fan homie is saying Ivanka is a wooden child and comes to life. That is his holiday Hallmark movie. Yes, I like that.
Yes. That's a good one.
But ideally goes back to being inanimate. You know what I mean? Like I like I
she's
would
a
prefer
woman. She's not a sentient thing anyway, right?
Right, exactly. She's a woman now, but then I want her to kind of like go back. It's like reverse Pinocchio. Like, oh, you get your doll forever. Oh, sorry, you can't talk anymore. Oh no, you can't run for whatever fucking office you're trying to run for in Florida because that's happening.
That's happening?
Yes, but also Anna, it's going to be Marco Rubio's seat. So maybe it's a win-win. It'll be fun. Nug Wrangler, great name on Twitch, says my Hallmark movie. Trump tries to buy Greenland as a Christmas gift for Barron.
And succeeds. I mean, honestly.
Absolutely. He will. It'll be like the only way he can make it up to him the last 4 years is if you buy me. You think he'd ever do that for one of his children?
No, he would do it for himself. If he did do it for his child, though, it would be interesting because they all have that no chin situation. I'd love to see him choke on a scarf while he's just trying to stay warm in Greenland.
Oh my God. Anna Valenzuela, thank you so much for joining us. Follow her, everyone, on Twitter at Anna V is fun. And she is, and she has been. Thank you so much for joining us. Be safe. Happy holidays. Take good care. And thank you all for being here so much. Thank you for your tips. TBR-Live on Venmo. TBR Live. We're donating to Mi Gente. They're knocking doors. They're getting out the vote in Georgia like we should be. We're almost at the end of the year. Next week, we're going to do a wrap-up of the year. We got Matt Lieb coming back on the show. Then my friend Tej Nagaraja. You're going to love him. He's a historian. He's an old homie. We're going to shoot the shit. But look forward to that. Look forward to it. I'm just ordering you to look forward to it. And thank you so much for everyone who's tipped and for my producer, Becca Rufer, Kelly, Carey, Dorsey, Shaw. And remember... Well, I'm not done yet. Remember, Trump lost. Trump is a loser. Lahu Zahir, he lost big time. And this week, Mitch McConnell admitted about just as much.
So as of this morning, our country has officially a president-elect and a vice president-elect. Many millions of us had hoped the presidential election would yield a different result. But our system of government has processes to determine who will be sworn in on January the 20th. The Electoral College has spoken.
He didn't quite say Biden's name, but he tried. Will Mitch help drag Trump out of the Oval Office? I don't know. TBD. Or will there be martial law? TBD. For now, have a good week, you guys. Stay super safe. Keep your family safe. Have a good Christmas if you're into that kind of thing. And remember, fight the power, fuck the patriarchy, and don't just bitch about it. Be about it. Goodbye.